Oh, hi. I'm Aaron Stadinsky, director of soon-to-be blockbuster hit Simon Begins. You know, people often come up to me in the street and ask me, in what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? What kind of question is that? Seriously. I have no idea what they're talking about. Who would come up to me in the street and ask me this? Luckily, the good people at Fatman Productions have provided me with a series of notes detailing this. Well, I say detailing the hastily cobbled together. Let's begin anyway, shall we? In fact, we'll start with the conventions of a short film. First off, a short film will be expected to be cheap, and let me tell you, ours was cheap. I provided all the props myself from home, and we didn't even pay the actors, nor did we pay to use any of the locations. Also, speaking of locations, you would not expect to see many locations in a short film, which is where we veered a bit from the typical conventions of a short film. We had 5 locations. 12 Angry Men only had 4 locations, and they were nominated for Oscars. I'm just throwing that out there. We had very few actors, which you would expect from a short film. We only had 4. For a 5-minute film, I guess that is a decent amount, but still a short amount. Well, what we lacked in actors and money, we more than made up for in dialogue, which again, we went away from what you would expect from a short film. We had quite a lot of dialogue packed into those 5 minutes, especially considering we only had 4 actors. Also, it's not just about the conventions of a short film per se, it's also about how you recognise the film, how you tell what genre it is, just by watching it. This is done with stuff like mise en scène, sound and music, dialogue, etc, etc. Let's start with the mise en scène. We had quite a dark outside area for our impeccable fight scenes. These were really good fight scenes, and they were made this good just by the location. It would have had these 2 people fighting in a fluffy field full of bunnies and sunshine. It wouldn't work as well. So we put them in a dark, dingy part of the college for them to fight, and it worked. It worked really well. Adding to this fight scene was the tense music we had during it. Again, if we had have had the Beatles or something, or the Spice Girls playing over it, it doesn't quite work the same. Inversely, when we had the main actor playing with dolls, as he enjoys doing so much, we had some happy music to show that the scene was going well. And again, in the dialogue, this also helped show what kind of film it was. It showed it was a Batman film. We had a few sly references to Batman in our own dialogue. And the structure itself followed that of a typical film. We had the status quo, a conflict, a resolution, and a new status quo. These tell you that it's hard to explain quite what I mean by this kind of thing, but we'd have this kid Simon. He's being bullied. He thinks he's a superhero at night. The conflict is the boy that stands in the way of him and his true love. A resolution comes in the form of a new girl in his life, and a new status quo is his infatuation with this new girl. Let's move on. We had a radio trailer to link with our film in promotion, and I've got here a list of conventions of a radio trailer. First up, we had a narrator, just like you'd expect from most radio trailers, to tell you a bit about the film that couldn't quite be told from quotes from the film. Our narration was quite effective, I feel. It told you the name of the film, when it was coming out, even its certificate, just for kids at home who were wondering whether or not they were old enough to watch our beautiful film. We had quotes from the film, as I just mentioned before. These tell you what's going to be in the film. You expect to hear these quotes when you go see the film. You get an idea of what these characters are like in these few seconds. And also, what we felt was most important of all, we had a similar score to the film. This was quite important. Again, if we have something that is nothing like anything we have in the film, it throws you off. You go into the cinema expecting something different, which we do not want to happen. Similarly with a magazine review that was released not long after our film's release, it was given a similar colour scheme to our film. It was quite dark colours, which you saw in our fight scenes. There was the title of our film, obviously. There was an emphatic point in the middle of the review that, for those of you who didn't have time to read the full review, would get a basic idea, which also came up in the synopsis of the review and the verdict, giving a 2-line summary of whether or not you should watch it and why. There was a respectable 4-star rating. I would have preferred 5, but 4 will do for now. And we also had photos, so you knew what these people looked like, so you knew the locations. Again, you had an idea going into this film of what to expect. And of course, what review is complete without some funny captions? To sum this up, let's go back to the question. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? I guess in a way, we do use these conventions. Again, it is cheap. Our film was cheap. We used very few actors. We use these to let you know that it is a short film. But in other ways, to distance ourselves from the pack and let you know that what you're watching is a unique film, we challenge them with our excessive dialogue. Well, excessive may not be the right term to use. We have more dialogue than most. We use these to separate ourselves, to let us know that while we are a short film, we are something a little bit different and worth watching. I hope this has answered all your questions. I'm Aaron Stadinsky. Take care.